I'm standing outside the school today and it's a little bit chilly. This is because the air lost energy. Well, how did this happen? Here's 5 things you need to know to help you answer that question. We have learned how climate is affected by Earth's atmosphere and oceans. The climate is the general weather patterns over a period of time. Climate differs from weather, which is the daily weather conditions. Earth is warmed by energy from the sun. Energy from the sun is transferred to Earth's surface. Some of that energy is then transferred to the air above the surface. The sun does not directly warm the air. The closer a location is to the equator, the more energy from the sun it receives. Therefore, a location's air temperature is affected by its distance from the equator. The distance from the equator is measured in latitudes. The reason more energy is transferred at the equator is due to the shape of the Earth. The equator gets more direct sunlight, but at the poles, less energy is transferred. Ocean currents will affect air temperature. An ocean current is a continuous path of water that moves around the globe. When an ocean current comes from the equator, it brings warmer than expected water to the places it passes, and that water is warmer than the air nearby. When an ocean current comes from a pole, it brings colder than expected water to the places it passes, and that water is colder than the nearby air. Energy transfers from hot to cold, or areas with more energy to areas with less energy. If an ocean current is warmer than the surrounding air, energy will transfer from the ocean to the air. But if the current is colder than the surrounding air, then energy will transfer from the air to the ocean. Prevailing winds and the position of continents determine the direction of ocean currents. Prevailing winds are winds that move in one direction and are strong enough to push ocean currents. At the equator, the prevailing winds travel from east to west, while prevailing winds that are closer to the poles travel from west to east. Currents are caused by both prevailing winds and continents. The prevailing winds push the water either eastward or westward, while the continents force the water to move north or south. Changes to prevailing winds affect ocean currents. Changes to ocean currents affect how much energy is brought to or taken away from a location. So when prevailing winds change, a location's temperature may change. An effect may have more than one cause. For example, air temperature can be caused not only by the distance from the equator, but also by ocean currents transferring energy. If you know these 5 things, you are ready to move on to weather patterns.